We'll be exploring how emerging technologies such as AI, online learning platforms, data analytics, and personal tutoring can revolutionize the way students prepare for exams, ultimately bridging the performance gap and empowering the next generation of learners. I'm joined in the studio by a young man. Well, for some of you listening today, I think you'll be encouraged by this young man who has joined me on the show today. His name is Robinson Honor. He's the CEO of PXXL Space. Thank you for joining me on the show.
All right, thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, for those who have not, by the way, we are live on Facebook. You can watch us live on Facebook. Now, as a young man, what area of tech are you specialized in?
Okay, I'm into software engineering and embedded systems. Software engineering covering web development, app development. Then embedded systems just basically robotics.
Okay, now let's get straight to the point. Now, what do you think are the main factors contributing to the, let's say, over 70% of students in JAMB scoring below 200?
All right, from what I've observed so far, it's more of a system error and a human error.
Why you say so?
System error being that there were multiple people that complained about glitches within I think 26th of April, right? 26th of April. So I feel like there must have been an error with their system that caused it, and human error, seeing the fact that students are no longer serious about academics with the high rate of fraudulent activities, people leaving school to just do fraud. So I feel like there is kind of like decline in the intellectual capabilities of students. Yeah.
So how do you think technology can help identify students' weaknesses and customize their learning paths?
All right, so one thing about tech is that tech is broad, so it gives you ability to go through different means.
Yeah.
And another thing about learning generally is that there are different types. There is psychomotor, there is cognitive. So beyond just this cognitive that is being taught in school, certain students are not able to learn through the normal learning pattern. So they have to go through other ways. So you have technologies that teaches through games. You see, teach it through videos. So it's kind of like helping to boost their educational skills. Yeah.
Okay. Now let's look at the role of AI in all of this that we are talking about today. Now, how can artificial intelligence play, or would I say, what role can artificial intelligence play in creating adaptive learning platforms for exam preparation?
All right. So if you get to look at the concept of artificial intelligence, it's just basically machine learning.
Yeah.
It's learning based on data you've given to it, and you have people that come in to use ChatGPT, use Google Bard, and you have many other platforms that also come in play too. So what happens is that it teaches you and it finds those weak points, probably gives you a couple of exams, a couple of tests, and it uses it and knows how well you're able to you interact with certain subjects and certain how we're able to interact. Let's say, for example, you're handling biology and chemistry, and it sees that yes, you're better at chemistry than biology. It's going to give you more questions and everything concerning the biology. So it's just working hand in hand based on how well you're able to handle certain things to teach you for it. Yeah.
Now, how effective is online mock exams and practice tests in improving student score?
All right, mock in general is something that helps in final practices. Back then in secondary school, you get to see when you want to do inter sports, you get to do inter sports mock. So basically, it's just a pre-exam that helps to boost them, because outside using just school learning, you want to get to understand how the tension of the exam is, how the system works, and it just gives you a clue of the run through of it. So it's very important.
I don't know. I know you're not a data analytics expert.
Yeah.
You understand? But with your little idea of it, now, in what ways can it help to track students' progress and maybe inform teaching strategies?
All right. So one thing about data analytics is that it helps in accurate implementation of things. So when you get to look at data analytics now, you find out that in northern part of Nigeria and most remote part of Nigeria, you see that people are not very good at English, not very good at computer.
Yeah.
That's basically because of the environment. And for you to be able to understand this is based on data analytics. So with that, the government could see that these certain places are not good here. What's the reason? Probably they don't have access to computers. Then use it to help them. Because when I wrote JAMB, I got to see plenty people there that didn't know how to use the mouse, didn't know how to use the computer down in 2024, 2025. So when they use data analysis to find out that this number of people don't know how to operate this, don't know how to handle this, it's going to help them to do a lot better.
Okay, now, are there countries, maybe in Africa or around the world, that have maybe implemented or successfully implemented tech-based interventions in exam preparation?
Yes, they are. Actually, almost all countries do.
Really?
Yeah, down here in Nigeria, I have a friend. He has a startup, LearnRhythm AI. So outside his, many other countries, but it's more of down to organizations trying to push it. But some countries actually help. I know about Rwanda, I know about Kenya. They are boosting their whole tech system. I think down in Africa and South Africa. So there are lots of countries that actually do that. I think down in US, there are certain schools that I saw online. There are certain schools that they are no teachers. They go there, they have their tablets. It's training them based on AI and how well they're able to handle it. So yeah, in certain developed countries, they are.
Now, whatever challenges we face today, particularly in the urban areas, the rural areas and underserved areas those challenges are double of what we face in urban areas. Now, you talk about the role of, let's say, mobile apps and the rest of them, or mobile learning platforms. Now, how can mobile learning apps be made more accessible to students, particularly in those rural and underserved areas?
All right, so the thing is that one issue you might face there is price of internet. You have availability of devices. So one thing, the most realistic way to set it up is to set physical centers, more like physical e-learning centers where they go in, they have laptops there they can use, because laptop is something that can be used by multiple without you having to carry it to your house. You grant them internet access. Just let's say probably in the community you have a center that comes maybe free, because most of them cannot be able to afford it, so you have a free center for them to come and learn. And I think that's how it comes. And you probably the government will probably work with certain companies that does these things, because they are down here in Port Harcourt. There are lots of companies that are into e-learning, and that's edutech as a whole. So you just collaborate with them and provide this to the children there.
But in some of those rural areas, cost of transport is another problem. We face that in the urban areas, and I don't know how many communities they'll be able to fix maybe those centers you're talking about, because sometimes for you to travel to the nearest community, you need to have up to 1,000 naira, sometimes 2,000 naira, and it may not be that affordable for everybody. So it may be a challenge setting up physical centers for almost all the communities in the rural areas.
All right, the thing is that no big mansion started like instantly. It's bit by bit, and it's more like picking out certain places and setting more like a network. Let's say probably in a place like, let's say, Port Harcourt here, you pick out a community that is more like central to others, and you put it within close distance to each other. So bit by bit it gets improved. And so I think that's one thing that the government should also be looking into, because you get to see most infrastructure that are built up in communities that you notice that they are not adding to the lives of the people, rather than spoiling it. So you just look into this edutech sector, but I think it's kind of like an underrated sector in Nigeria.
Now let's just look at integrating tech into the Nigerian educational system. There seems to be a lot of challenges in it, because you find out that while Nigeria tries to integrate tech, the more it does do its best to try to integrate it, the more challenges it faces at the end of the day. Now, in your own opinion, what challenges exist, you understand, in integrating technology into the Nigerian educational system, and how do you think we can overcome it?
All right, so the first thing you would notice, if you look at any government site now, look at any big organization site in Nigeria, you get to see they look old, they are not updated. So I think for a start, Nigerians, we need to understand that everything being old doesn't mean it's the best. We have to bring in new minds into this thing. You see that last year I met with a couple of young 10-year-olds that built a solution that took them outside Nigeria, and you get to look at younger people, what they are thinking about, how innovative they are. I feel like if there's an inclusion of young people into this field, it's going to help a lot, because you get to see, I tried registering my business yesterday, the CSC, and you saw the site was down, and you look at it and you'll be like, these are things that could be easily avoided. So you get to see that Nigerians, I feel like we're trying to look at the shortcut of everything, either that or we don't want to include the young people, because when you get to include young people, you see that how creative they are. My friend has an AI learning platform. He's just 19-year-old. So if you get minds like that, get younger people and put them together, they're going to build impressive things. Because you get to look at places like China, they are built by the younger people. You see the younger people doing creative things, and down here in Nigeria, we don't really have value for young people towards that way.
Now, while we talk about students performing better using technology, we can't forget about the teachers and the tutors too. You understand, in terms of how to also make them understand how technology works. Now, in your own opinion, how can teachers and tutors leverage technology to provide better support to students, maybe preparing for JAMB or WAEC and the other exams we have in Nigeria?
Okay, here's one thing here. One thing about Africans is that certain older Africans is more of, I wouldn't say more of a norm. They kind of like feel like the ancient way is the best way, and you trying to convince them is very difficult. It's going to be very, imagine going to meet your teacher and you're like, stop teaching here, just go on YouTube, show us a video and we're going to learn from them. They will look at you like you're saying something that doesn't make sense. So it's down to meeting them as a government or as people, meeting them and explaining to them certain technologies and how they are going to help them. Because I mean, if you go and meet a government school teacher in Choba, for example, and you show her how she uses her laptop to teach 100 students without having to stress herself, I mean, if she knows what it is, she'll be happy to do it. So it's about explaining to them how it works. Most of them are not aware of this. They know that yes, there's technology, but they don't understand how it works. They are not sure they want to learn. But if you get to introduce it to them, tell them this is the advantage, this is how it works, I think it should help.
Now, what's the impact, or what impact do you think, or potential do you think virtual reality will have when augmented with reality or immense learning experience?
It's going to help very well. Now, virtual reality is something that it kind of like keeps you in sync with what you're learning. Back then in secondary school, there are times you learned about some biological terms, you learned about the heart, you learned about a couple of things, but you can't have access to it. Now, inclusion of artificial intelligence helps you to bring it to life without having to spend so much on going to get a cadaver or something. You just wear it on and you have like a full insight of what it is. So it kind of like gives a different exposure. It's beyond just the 2D, you just seeing in pen and paper. You get to experience it by yourself, because one thing about that, it works with 3D, and it gives you the feel that yes, you're in that, you understand the full system to it.
While we talk about this, the government cannot develop these apps and the rest of them. There has to be the private sector in these things. Now, what role can private tech companies and startups play in improving educational outcomes, particularly for candidates of exams in Nigeria?
Well, in as much as I would want to say it's they can help. But at this point, most private sectors are being tied down by Nigeria itself. You get to see that for them, for you to have a startup and you want to push something like this, it requires lots of funds. And in developed countries, there are startup fundings for that. But down in Nigeria, we don't have startup funding. Before you go to startup, you spend like a couple of years trying to go through this. You have connection, do this and do that. So it's usually tying them down. You see, most companies, they just leave Nigeria and just go outside to go, and even Ghana, down to Ghana and Kenya, to develop for it. So private companies, most of them have the vision, they have the workload, they have the people to do it, but they don't have the funding, they don't have the assistance from government, because it's a very big project to handle. So we have companies, organizations like NITDA, they're supposed to like handle the whole transition of tech into different fields. And if you see more inclusions of that, you get to see more fundings or startups in Nigeria. It's going to go a long way, because I mean, if I have a startup that helps with this and the government is ready to sponsor it, I would do all in my favor to make sure that this goes everywhere. So it's down to the government being able to sponsor, because if you get to check, there are hundreds of startups in Port Harcourt that even know of that does this thing, but it's just we just need the right push for it.
Now, for students, how do you think they can be motivated to consistently use tech tools, particularly in preparation for exams?
at this point, I don't think people need to be convinced anymore. Me being a student of Uniport, I know how where I most of the things I learned in class, I really didn't get them well. All I just do is I copy the topic, paste it there, and just gives me everything. So at this point now, all this generation being more like a digital generation already has like an insight on AI, because if you ask literally everybody now, they know what ChatGPT is. Yeah. So at this point, the young people, I feel like they have an advantage, they have an edge over many other people. They understand how it works, at least for the urban area, that is. But generally, I feel like young people as of now don't need to be pushed to use AI, because they already understand I can use AI for this, you can use AI for this, and it helps a lot.
My final question to you: how can we measure the success of technology-driven interventions in improving exam scores over time? How do you think we can measure it? Because is it by the students scoring more than 200, like what happened in JAM, or what? What do you think is the best way to measure the success of technology-driven interventions in improving exam scores?
All right, so it's beyond just the exam hall, or it's beyond just you scoring something in JAM. It's down to you scoring. Let's say you probably score in JAM and you come to school and you're able to apply it in real life again. Because I feel like one mistake we are making here in Africa and in Nigeria is that we use examination as evaluation of how well you know something, which is totally wrong. There are things that happen in exam hall. So with tech, you get to understand that people learn things and they apply it. Me being a young person, I'm able to go to different places to give talks about certain things I learned through AI. So when it comes to exam, it's easier to just do it through. Yeah, so I feel like it's more about implementation beyond just writing exams. It's more about implementations of it.
Yeah, one of our Facebook viewers right now is asking a question. He says, does AI impact on students to do well in the school? Because here in our country, Nigeria, we have provided all these for them, and we don't have network also. That's a question from Mr. Honorable Ohaka Endwell.
Okay, first of all, whether AI helps in schools?
Yes.
Yeah, it does. But here's the thing now. Every single thing has a good side and a bad side.
Yes.
It's down to the individual. If you as an individual, you're too lazy to actually learn, all you just do is you have an exam and a test or an assignment, you just go use it and fill it up and just submit it. It's going to affect you negatively. But if you use it and you understand that, yes, I'm learning this, I know this, it's giving you like multiple examples. Your teacher probably knows only one way to solve this. You go to AI and you're like, what's the simplest way to solve this? And you learn it and you come to school the next day and you tell your teacher, sir, I know how to do this. And you look at it, it's going to help generally. And down to network issues, it's a crazy thing in Nigeria. We might not experience it unless you communicate with people outside. I've been in a couple of meetings that I keep complaining, oh, my network is bad, and they are confused. How is it bad?
I've experienced that a lot.
How is it bad? I lost a gig one time because the recruiter was like, I'm not serious with it, because I kept logging out of the meeting, coming back again, logging out, coming in again. So I feel like the network
challenge in Africa.
It's very serious. I think within the past few months it's been getting worse and worse, even down to MTN increasing their tariff and everything. So it's just draining with the fact that everything is going digital. So
Robinson Honor, the CEO of PXXL Space.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for coming on my show.
Thank you.
I hope to have you some other times, because we need to discuss more, particularly on software and the rest of them. I'll get to invite you another time.
All right, thank you very much, sir.